Welcome to the deep dive. You're here because you want to learn some cool stuff, right?
Absolutely. Get smart fast.
Yeah, fast on things that matter. And that's exactly what we are going to do today.
I think so.
We're going to dive into a chapter that's pretty incredible and often overlooked, Numbers 14 in the King James Bible.
Right.
Now, before you run away thinking this is some kind of, boring religious stuff,
Right.
think of this more as like a total nail biter.
Yeah.
A drama about leadership and faith and what happens when people got to make tough choices under pressure.
Well, and consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge consequences.
Really big consequences.
And that's what we're going to bring you today.
Yeah.
We're going to pull out this raw nerve of this pivotal moment for the Israelites after the Exodus.
Right.
They're standing at the doorstep of the Promised Land.
Yeah.
They're so close, everything seems within reach, and then it all falls apart.
Oh.
So we're going to try and understand why and what those ancient decisions, what they can tell us about the challenges we face today. Oh, wow.
When we are confronted with the unknown.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so set the scene.
Yeah.
These Israelites, they've escaped from Egypt.
They've seen some stuff, man.
They have seen some unbelievable stuff. And so they send these spies, right, to scope out Canaan, this land that they've been promised.
Right.
When the spies come back, their report totally sends the whole community into chaos.
Yeah.
Chapter 14 opens with just despair.
Total despair.
Yeah.
Like the verse says, all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night.
Whoa.
A whole community brought to tears by a report
Oh, man.
that tells you the level of fear and disappointment
Yeah.
that must have gripped them.
Wow.
Just imagine.
I mean, I can't even...
You can't. It's tough.
And it doesn't even stop at sadness, right?
No.
They, immediately start blaming Moses and Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Hardcore. The complaints are so intense.
They're pretty extreme. Yeah, they're saying stuff like, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt?
Wow.
Or would God we had died in this wilderness?
Right.
It's crazy to me. After everything that they just went through to escape slavery,
Right.
they're suddenly missing it.
They're nostalgic for it.
Yeah. What do you think causes that?
Well, I think, it's fascinating because it highlights this common human tendency that when we're faced with a tough future and a very uncertain future, we tend to idealize a past, even if it was an unpleasant past.
Oh, yeah.
And so the hardship of the wilderness and the unknowns of facing these Canaanites, it all became way more terrifying in their minds than the memory of being enslaved in Egypt.
Right.
So it's just this powerful illustration of how fear can totally warp our perspective.
I got it.
Yeah.
And then things escalate so fast.
Oh, yeah.
They start talking about picking a new leader. It's going to take them right back to Egypt.
Back to Egypt.
Yeah, that's not even complaining at this point. This is a total rejection of the whole journey that they've been on and the leaders that, got them to this place.
The leadership that, brought them this far.
It's I don't know, it's almost like a full-scale mutiny.
It is.
Right.
It is their desire to return, like you're saying. It represents a total lack of trust in the path they were on and the leadership that was guiding them.
Wow.
It suggests that they prefer this perceived safety of what they know.
Even if it's bad.
Even if it was oppression, over the risks and uncertainties of freedom.
Oh, man.
And the fulfillment of the promise.
Yeah.
This impulse to revert to the familiar when we face something unknown.
Okay.
This is an echo. This is something we see in so many different situations, even today.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
So then in the middle of all this panic,
Right.
we see Moses and Aaron doing something that's really striking.
Yes.
It says they fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation.
Mm.
What does that posture tell us?
That physical action, it says so much.
Okay.
It conveys this utter devastation, not just for their own leadership, but also for this spiritual crisis that's unfolding in front of them.
Wow.
It could also be interpreted as a silent appeal,
Okay.
turning to a higher power in this moment where their own authority and ability to persuade has totally failed.
That's heavy.
It's a raw display, right, of the weight of responsibility as a leader,
Yeah.
to guide these people.
And then we have Joshua and Caleb.
Right.
They were 2 of the 12 spies,
Yep.
and their response is the total opposite of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, completely different.
Yeah, the text says they rent their clothes. What
Interesting.
does that mean? What's the significance of that?
Well, wrenching your clothes back then, that was a traditional expression of profound grief,
Oh,
anger, and protest in their culture.
wow.
It immediately signals that they took the situation super seriously
Uh,
and that they disagreed vehemently with the despair and the rebellion of the people.
wow.
It sets them apart
Yeah.
as these voices of dissent
Oh, wow.
against the prevailing negativity.
That's interesting.
Yeah, okay.
So it's important.
And their assessment of the land is so positive.
Oh, yeah, it is.
They said, the land, which we passed through to search it, is an exceeding good land.
Right.
That's such a stark contrast.
Huge contrast.
Yeah, to the fear-mongering report that messed everyone up.
Yeah. It's a total juxtaposition
Yeah.
to what the other spies said.
Yeah, yeah.
So their firsthand experience led them to this completely different conclusion.
Right. Yeah.
They saw the same challenges as the other spies,
Right.
but their perspective was framed by faith rather than fear.
Right.
They focused on the abundance and the potential of the land,
Yeah.
describing it in these almost idyllic terms.
Like, I don't know, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does sound like a beautiful place,
Yeah.
doesn't it? And they don't just stop at saying, oh, the land's good, right?
No, no, no.
They actually try to reassure everyone.
Yeah, they do.
They say, if the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us a land which floweth with milk and honey.
Right.
Like they're saying, our success depends on our relationship with God.
Yes.
Not just on how strong we are or, how scary our enemies seem.
Exactly. That's the point they're making.
Yeah.
What's key here is that they emphasize divine favor.
Mm.
They're reframing the challenge, saying, look, if we stay aligned with God's will, we will overcome these obstacles.
Okay.
It's such a powerful message of hope,
Right.
rooted in faith. And it directly challenges the people's narrative that defeat is inevitable.
Oh.
This kind of leadership, focusing on potential and divine support rather than perceived threats.
Right.
This is something that, it's a recurring theme in successful endeavors.
It's pretty incredible what they
And
did.
standing up to the crowd.
Yeah, especially when everyone else is freaking out, it takes a lot of guts.
It does.
And a lot of faith.
So much courage and so much faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how does the crowd react to this positive, faith-based message?
Well, their reaction is tragic.
Yeah.
It says, all the congregation bade stone them with stones.
What?
Think about that.
That's intense.
That's intense.
Yeah.
Joshua and Caleb are offering a path forward.
Based on trust.
Right. They're saying, let's trust God, and the people's reaction is, let's kill them.
That's wild.
Permanently silence them.
Wow.
This just reveals how deep their fear was.
Right.
And how unwilling they were to even consider an alternative perspective.
It's like they don't even want to hear it.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder of how
Yeah.
easily fear can lead to irrational and just totally destructive behavior.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then right then, we see a big divine intervention.
Yes.
It says, the glory of the Lord appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does that appearance mean?
In the Old Testament,
Yeah.
the glory of the Lord, that's a visible manifestation of God's presence,
Okay.
his power, and his holiness.
So it's like he's showing up.
He's showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it signifies that this is a really important moment,
Right.
a direct response
What's going on?
to the people's rebellion
Right.
and their threat against the people who are staying faithful.
So he's not happy.
It's a clear indication that things have gotten out of control
Yeah.
and divine action is about to happen.
Got it. Okay. And what God says to Moses is pretty direct.
Oh, yeah.
It says, he asks, how long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me for all the signs which I have showed among them?
Right.
You can almost hear the frustration.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How many times do I have to prove myself to you guys?
Yeah, exactly.
It really highlights this tension
Yeah.
between, divine patience and human stubbornness. So despite seeing all these miracles, right, the plagues in Egypt, the parting of the Red Sea, manna from heaven,
It's incredible.
incredible stuff.
Yeah.
But they still struggle
With trust.
to trust God, yeah.
Wow.
The word provoke, that suggests that this is an ongoing pattern of testing and challenging God's faithfulness.
So they keep messing up.
They keep messing up.
Yeah.
They resist learning from their experiences.
Okay, and God's initial response is, it's pretty hardcore.
Oh, it's intense.
He proposes to just wipe them out And start over.
Start fresh.
Yeah, with Moses.
Yes. Make a new nation.
Create a new nation. What does this tell us about how serious their actions were?
This drastic proposal just underscores the massive failure in God's eyes.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
It signifies a complete break in trust
Right.
and a rejection of their covenant relationship.
So it's a big deal.
Huge deal.
Right.
It's a huge deal, and the offer to build a new nation for Moses highlights the potential that they have squandered and the profound disappointment in their lack of faith.
Right.
But it also sets the stage
For what?
for Moses to step in.
In a big way.
In a huge way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and advocate for the people.
Right. Which leads to Moses' incredible plea. He steps in to defend the very people who are about to reject him.
Powerful moment.
Right. His arguments are really interesting.
Oh, they're so multi-layered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First, he brings up what the Egyptians would think. Why is that important?
Well, Moses is appealing to God's reputation on an international stage, so to speak.
Oh, I see.
So he argues that if God, who has so dramatically shown his power in delivering the Israelites, now destroys them in the wilderness,
Right.
that the Egyptians and other nations will not see that as justice, but they'll see it as a failure of God's power.
Right.
Or an inability to keep his promises.
Right. So it's like a PR problem.
Total PR problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a strategic argument, all right?
Totally.
It's focusing on perception and the impact it'll have on God's name.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
And he also brings up how the people who already live in Canaan would see it. Right?
Exactly.
They've heard all this stuff about God's power.
Right, they have.
What message would it send if they were destroyed?
Exactly. Moses points out that these nations, they know about the miracles that God has performed.
They've heard the stories.
So if the Israelites are destroyed,
Right.
it would be seen as God being weak. Like their gods were more powerful than the God of Israel.
Right.
Moses is basically saying, look, your actions have consequences beyond just this group of people.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he goes on to appeal to God's character,
Yeah.
reminding him of his own, qualities.
His attributes.
Yeah, it says, the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression.
He's reminding God who he is.
Right.
This is the core of Moses's plea.
Okay.
He's appealing to God's established nature. The qualities that have always defined their relationship.
Yeah.
He's acknowledging, we messed up, we sinned.
Right.
But he's pleading for mercy based on God's consistent character of forgiveness.
It's like he's saying, this is who you are.
It is.
Yeah.
This is who you've always been.
Yeah.
This is what you've shown us.
Okay.
It's a masterful act of negotiation.
Right.
He's reminding the other party of their own values.
That's good. Okay.
Right.
So what does Moses ask for directly?
Well, he directly asks for parting. He says, according unto the greatness of thy mercy, and as thou hast forgiven this people from Egypt even until now.
So he's saying, you've always forgiven us.
He's saying, keep going, God. Keep doing what you've been doing.
Yeah, keep up to good work.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
He's putting the needs of the people
Of his own.
above his own, even when they're rebelling.
Wow, that's huge.
His primary concern is preserving the community
Right.
and the integrity of God's promises.
That's a good lead.
That's a great leader,
Yeah.
This willingness to advocate for those who have wronged you, that's a hallmark of truly great leadership.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so God responds, he says, I have pardoned according to thy word.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be wiped out.
Right. Immediate destruction is averted
All because of what Moses did.
because of Moses.
Yeah.
It just highlights the power of intercession and the responsiveness of God to these sincere pleases.
Right.
It shows that even when we fail big time, there's room for mercy
Okay.
and a chance for a different outcome.
I like that.
Yeah.
But the pardon comes with some serious consequences.
Oh, yeah, it does.
God goes on to say that the whole adult generation who doubted him, they're not going to see the promised land.
They're not going to see it.
So how does that conditional pardon change things?
Well, it underscores the seriousness of their unbelief.
Right.
So while they are spared immediate annihilation,
Right.
their lack of faith has lasting repercussions. They'll never experience the fulfillment of the promise.
Right.
It's this stark reminder that actions have consequences even when we are forgiven.
Yeah. I see that.
But it also sets the stage for a generational shift and a new opportunity for their kids.
Right, because there's an exception. Right.
Yes, there is.
Caleb.
Yeah,
God specifically says he had a different spirit
Right.
and that he was totally committed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Caleb stands out as this shining example of steadfast faith.
when everybody else is freaking out.
Yeah, amidst all this doubt,
Yeah.
another spirit suggests that his mindset was one of trust and courage.
Mm.
It wasn't swayed by all the negativity,
Yeah.
and his reward to enter the promised land,
Right.
that just highlights the value of unwavering belief
Right.
and this wholehearted commitment to God.
Okay, so then God tells them, turn back, go back to the wilderness.
Yep, full reversal.
That's a huge bummer.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, right.
It's a major turning point. Their rebellion has cost them the immediate opportunity to enter the promised land,
Right.
but it's also condemned them to years of wandering.
Oh, wow.
It's like this physical manifestation of their spiritual wandering.
Oh.
It's a consequence of losing their way through all this doubt and fear.
Wow.
Yeah,
And the judgment is really clear. It says that their bodies will be left in the wilderness.
right.
It's pretty intense language, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It really emphasizes the finality of
Right.
this judgment for that generation.
Like, this is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, their own words.
Right.
Their wish to die in the wilderness,
Has come true.
it's become their reality.
Wow.
Yeah, it's this powerful warning
Huh.
about what we say
Okay.
and the consequences of just being negative and not believing,
Mm.
you know?
Okay, but what about their kids? You know, the ones they were worried about.
Right.
God says that they're the ones who will go into the land.
Yes.
That's kind of poetic justice, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It really highlights this theme of judgment, but also hope for the future.
I don't know.
While the parents are facing the consequences, the promise to their descendants remains.
So the kids benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll inherit what their parents rejected
Out of fear?
out of fear.
Yeah.
It's a brand new beginning
Wow.
and a chance for them to actually fulfill the original covenant.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and the 40 years of wandering, that's connected to the 40 days the spies were in the land, right?
Exactly. It's each day for a year.
Right, right,
So there's this direct connection between their lack of faith,
right,
represented by those 40 days of doubt,
right.
and the length of their punishment.
So the longer they doubt it, the longer they wander.
Exactly.
So,
It emphasizes the long-term consequences of their choices
Yeah.
and the time that's needed for a new generation to grow up
Okay.
with a whole different perspective.
That's a long time, though.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the story turns to the fate of the 10 spies.
Right.
Who gave that bad report?
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
It's not good.
No.
They die from a plague,
Wow.
which shows how serious their actions were.
Yeah.
They incited the rebellion,
Right.
and they spread all this fear and doubt.
And they paid the price.
They paid the price.
Yeah.
They bore a significant responsibility for the people's despair.
It's their fault.
It's their fault,
Yeah.
their fate. It's a stark warning
Okay.
about the power of negative influence.
Got it. But Joshua and Caleb are spared.
They are spared.
It seems like their faith protected them.
It did
Yeah.
from God's immediate judgment.
So there's a reward for faithfulness.
Yes.
Yeah.
They stood firm in their belief, despite all the negativity around them.
Yeah.
Their lives were preserved as a testament
Right.
to the power of trust and obedience.
Okay, so the people, they finally mourn after hearing all this.
Yeah, they do.
But was it real? Or were they just sad about the consequences?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
The text says they mourned greatly, but it's after they hear about the judgment.
So it's kind of suspect.
So, yeah, was it a true change of heart?
Right.
Or were they just sorry about the punishment?
Yeah.
I think what happens next
Oh.
sort of suggests it was the latter.
Oh, okay, because then all of a sudden they have this change of heart
Right.
and they decide to go up to the promised land.
Yeah, just go for it.
Like, we've sinned, we're going to go do this.
Right.
Like, they're going to fix it.
Yeah, they want to make things right.
Okay.
It seems like a positive step,
Right? Yeah.
Willing to admit they were wrong.
Yeah. Correct or mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Moses immediately cautions them.
Okay, what does he say?
He's like, no, bad timing, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like your motivation's all wrong.
Okay.
He recognizes that they're just afraid of being punished.
So it's not really faith.
No, it's not about trusting God,
Yeah,
you know.
I see.
Yeah.
And he warns them.
Right.
He does. He says God's not with them and that it's not going to go well.
Especially with those enemies still hanging around.
Right. The Amalekites and the Canaanites.
They're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they ignore him.
They do.
They'll go anyway.
They try to take control.
Yeah.
It's a big mistake.
Yeah. And so what happens?
Well, it goes exactly as Moses predicted.
Get crushed, right?
Oh, yeah, total defeat.
Yeah.
It's a powerful illustration of
Yeah.
the consequences of disobeying.
Right.
And it's so important to act in accordance with divine guidance
Okay.
and God's timing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Their attempt to fix their mistake on their own terms,
Yeah.
it just backfires.
It totally blows up in their face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It emphasizes that true success comes from following God's lead,
Not our own.
not our own.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a lot.
We covered some ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are the main takeaways here?
Well, firstly, this story is like a powerful illustration of how doubt and fear can just eat away at our ability to take advantage of opportunities and move forward.
Right.
The Israelites' lack of faith,
Even after everything they saw.
even after everything they saw,
Yeah.
led to this huge setback, and they missed out on so much potential.
It happens all the time, doesn't it?
It does. It resonates with so many times in our lives.
Right.
And throughout history where fear of the unknown just keeps us from moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, what else?
Secondly, it shows how important it is to have visionary leadership,
Like Joshua and Caleb?
like Joshua and Caleb.
Yeah.
They kept this perspective of possibility,
Even when it was hard.
even when everyone else was losing it.
Yeah.
Their unwavering belief that there could be a positive outcome
Right.
that was grounded in a bigger purpose.
Right.
That's a timeless example for all of us.
And it really shows how important it is to live what you believe, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, their fear caused them to rebel.
Right.
And they tried to fix it. But it wasn't from a place of real faith.
Right, their motivation was off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows that true progress and positive outcomes
Yeah.
come from consistent faith and obedience.
Not just trying to fix things when we mess up.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you can't just react. You
Yeah.
have to be consistent.
Okay.
And the story also emphasizes that our choices have a huge impact.
Right.
Not just on us, but on future generations.
Like their kids.
Yeah, like their kids. Exactly.
Wow.
The Israelites' decision shaped what happened to their children for decades.
That's a powerful thought.
It is. It's a reminder that we create a legacy
Right.
through what we do and what we believe.
Okay, so as you go about your day today,
Yeah.
think about how this story from Numbers 14 shows up in your own life. Think about times when you let fear or doubt stop you from doing something challenging.
Right.
What if you'd face those situations with the same courage as Joshua and Caleb?
What could have been?
Yeah, how might things be different now? Yeah, good question. This old story still has so much to teach us
It really does.
about faith and leadership and the choices we make.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it has.